I still remember the smell of summer that night, the kind that clings to your skin mixed with laughter and cheap beer. Ryan sat beside me on the hood of his old car, staring up at the stars like he could grab one and keep it. "Ethan," he said, nudging my arm. "Promise me something," I grinned. "What now?" "You already made me promise we'd never grow up." "No," he said seriously. "Promise me we'll never let anything come between us. Not money, not women, not success, nothing." I laughed then because it sounded dramatic. "You're making it sound like a movie." He smiled, but his eyes didn't. "Just promise." "Fine," I said, lifting my can. "To never letting anything come between us." We clinked our drinks and took a long sip. I didn't know that promise would one day feel like a curse. Years later, that night still plays in my head every time I see his face. Back then, Ryan was more than a best friend. He was like my brother. We grew up 2 houses apart, shared the same broken bicycles, the same scraped knees, the same dreams. We were inseparable. And then there was Claire. I met her at a college party Ryan dragged me to. I wasn't supposed to go, I had a deadline, but she smiled at me across the room, and suddenly deadlines didn't matter. "Hey," she'd said, tilting her head. "You look like you hate parties." "I do," I admitted. "But apparently my best friend thinks I need a social life." She laughed softly. "Then I guess I should thank him." I didn't know then that those words would come back to haunt me. Ryan joined us halfway through the night, already grinning like he'd known her forever. "Claire, this idiot's been single too long." "Help me fix that," she blushed. "You're doing fine on your own, Ryan," we all laughed. It was easy back then, no walls, no distance. Ryan was like a light in every room, and I never once thought that light could burn me. Months passed, and Claire became part of everything. Our late-night drives, our movie marathons, our inside jokes. Ryan teased us constantly, claiming he was third-wheeling. I thought it was harmless. One evening, while we were all at the cafe near campus, Claire brushed her hand against mine under the table. Ryan caught it. He smirked but said nothing. I thought it was approval. Looking back, maybe it was the first crack in something I didn't yet see breaking. After she left that night, Ryan leaned back and said, "She's good for you. You finally stopped being a robot." "Thanks," I said, smiling. "I think she's the one." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, she's different." The pause after that word still echoes in my mind. Weeks later, he helped me plan her birthday. We stayed up all night decorating her apartment, laughing, arguing over balloons. Everything felt right. When she walked in, she cried, hugged us both, and whispered, "You two are amazing." Ryan smiled and said, "He did most of it, but his eyes were on her longer than they should have been." That night, when I kissed her goodbye, I caught him watching us. Just a second too long, I told myself it was nothing. Ryan was my brother. He'd never. "Ethan," he said the next day when we were out for coffee, "you ever wonder if we'll still be this close when we're older?" "Of course," I said, not even thinking. "You're stuck with me for life." He smiled faintly. "Yeah, life." If I'd looked closer, maybe I'd have seen it, the flicker of something dark behind his grin. But I didn't. I was too busy believing promises don't break. That was the night I stopped, noticing how his eyes followed her when she laughed. That was the night the first thread began to pull loose. I first noticed it one Friday evening. We were at Ryan's apartment, just the 3 of us, playing cards and arguing over who cheated last round. "You're terrible at this," Ryan teased, shoving a card toward me. "I'm not cheating." I laughed, raising my hands. Claire leaned over, touching my arm lightly. "You're fine, Ethan. He's just mad." Ryan smirked, leaning closer to her. "I'm not mad, just observing the competition." I watched him, and for a moment I caught him staring at her like she was the only person in the room. I shook it off. "Yeah, sure, just observing," I muttered under my breath. "Did you hear that?" Claire asked, smiling. "I think he called you a sore loser." "Maybe I am," I said, grinning, trying to keep it light. But my stomach felt tight. Later that week, we went to dinner at that small Italian place Ryan always raved about. I held Claire's hand across the table, but Ryan kept leaning in too close, whispering things that made her laugh a little too much. "You gotta try the tiramisu," Ryan said, his voice low, teasing. "I'll think about it," she replied. Still laughing, I stared at them. The way she smiled at him. My chest tightened. You two are having too much fun without me, I said, forcing a laugh. Ryan shot me a quick glance. Don't worry. You're winning at dessert, not charm. I laughed again, though it didn't reach my eyes. I felt it then, the first real pang of unease. I told myself it was nothing. I trusted both of them. I had to. After dinner, we walked outside. Claire grabbed my arm. I'm glad we did this, she said softly. Me too, I replied, squeezing her hand. Ryan hung back, pretending to check his phone. When I turned around, he was smirking at her. That same faint smirk he always wore when he thought he was clever. Hey, you two. Remember when we got lost on campus last year? He asked, stepping closer. Oh God, yes, Claire said, laughing, and I froze. I saw the way she looked at him, like he held some secret she adored. I tried to joke. Careful, you're making me feel like a third wheel here. Ryan shrugged. Can't help it if she's more fun than you. I laughed, but my throat felt tight. I didn't say anything else. Later at the apartment, we were cleaning up. Claire handed Ryan a napkin, and I caught him holding her hand a second too long before letting go. My stomach churned, but I told myself it was just coincidence. Ethan, she said, looking at me with a smile, you've got sauce on your cheek. I wiped it off, smiling back. Thanks, always saving me from embarrassment, huh? She laughed, but then I noticed something. She didn't look at me the same way she usually did. Her eyes lingered on Ryan for a fraction longer than normal. I bit the inside of my cheek and kept quiet. I didn't want to make a scene. I wanted to trust them. I had to. But that night, as I lay in bed, replaying the dinner, the laughter, the way their hands almost touched, I realized something. Trust can be dangerous. I just didn't know yet how dangerous. The cracks were there. I just hadn't admitted they were starting to show. I left the office late, the kind of late that makes the streets feel empty and the world quiet. My mind kept replaying Claire's laugh from earlier, the way she had smiled at Ryan. I shook it off. Tonight, I was going to surprise her. The drive was short, but every red light felt like a warning. My hands tightened on the wheel as I pulled into the parking lot of her apartment, and then I saw it, Ryan's car. Parked in the exact spot he always claimed he borrowed for a week. My chest hitched. No, it couldn't be. I ran up the stairs, knocking on her door without thinking. Claire! My voice trembled. It's me! I heard movement inside. Then laughter, her laughter. Not the warm, gentle kind, but the one I hadn't realized could cut like a knife. The door opened, and there they were. Ryan leaning casually against her kitchen counter, smiling like I wasn't standing there at all. Claire crying softly, her hands shaking. I blinked. What's going on? Ryan straightened. Ethan, didn't expect to see you tonight. Why the hell not? My voice rose, cracking. I came here for you, Claire. She stepped forward, tears streaking her face. Ethan, please let me explain. Explain? I laughed bitterly. Explain what? That you've been lying to me? That you... Ryan interrupted, calm, almost smug. Ethan, it's not what you think. Not what I think. I shouted. I think I just found out the truth. You two behind my back? Claire sobbed. I didn't mean for it to happen. Ryan said I what? My voice shook. He told you I cheated. That I what? Ryan shrugged. I just said you were distant. You were, Ethan. You didn't notice anything. She listened. She listened? I repeated, disbelief choking me. She listened and, yes, Ethan, Claire cried. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to stop it. I could feel my knees weaken, but I didn't fall. I wanted to. I wanted to collapse and scream until my voice left me. Instead, I took a step forward. So all those nights, all those promises, nothing meant anything? Ryan leaned closer. I'm not proud of it, but we didn't plan it. It happened. Happened? I laughed bitterly, a hollow sound. It happened? You destroyed us and you call it happened? Claire's sobs turned into wails. Ethan, please. I love you, but I'm confused. Ryan, he makes me feel I cut her off. You feel guilty? Ashamed? I don't care. I can't beg for what's already gone. Ryan's smirk faltered. Ethan, calm down. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. I shouted. You broke me. Both of you. And now you stand there acting normal? Claire reached for my hand. Ethan, I pulled back sharply. Don't touch me. Don't, I can't even look at you right now. I turned, my chest tight, my throat raw. I trusted you, Ryan. I trusted you, Claire. And you took everything I believed in and you threw it away. Ryan opened his mouth, but I didn't wait. I left the apartment, the cold night air slapping my face, my vision blurred with unshed tears. I drove in silence, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. I told myself over and over, I will not beg. I will not crawl back. What was stolen is gone, and I will survive it. Some part of me wanted to scream, to cry, to hit something. But I didn't. I was broken, yes, but composed. I had to be. Tonight I learned two things. The people you love the most can betray you, and the man you trusted most can hurt you deeper than anyone else. But I swore, never again. I will not beg for what was stolen. I will rise, even if it kills me. And in that silence, as the city lights blurred past, I realized something terrible and undeniable. My life as I knew it was over. I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days. Not because I had plans, but because the world outside felt wrong. The silence was suffocating. Even the hum of the fridge sounded loud. I stared at my phone, willing Claire to call. Nothing. Not a text. Not a missed call. Just emptiness. Mornings are worse, I muttered to myself, sipping a lukewarm coffee. I didn't even want it, but I drank anyway. Maybe pretending to live mattered. A knock on the door startled me. I almost didn't answer, but then I recognized the voice. Ethan! Open up, man! I groaned. Daniel? He barged in anyway, arms crossed, shaking his head. You don't heal by hiding, Ethan. I'm fine, I said, forcing a laugh, but my voice cracked. No, you're not, he said bluntly. I've seen you, sitting here staring at walls, replaying the worst night of your life over and over. I can't help it, I whispered. It's everywhere. Ryan, Claire, everywhere I look I see it. Daniel flopped onto my couch. You think I don't get it? I've lost people too. But sitting here like a ghost isn't going to fix it. You need to feel it, then move. You can't run from this. I ran my hands through my hair. It's not just Claire, Daniel. It's Ryan. He wasn't just my friend. He was everything. And now, I trailed off. Now he's a thief, Daniel said simply, of more than just a girl. He took your trust, your peace, and he'll try to take more if you let him, I wanted to scream. Why her? Why him? Why did this happen? Daniel shook his head. You can't ask why. You can only ask what now. What are you going to do? I stared at him, swallowing the lump in my throat. I don't know. I can't even think straight. Then start small, he said. Open the blinds. Eat something. Call me if you want to talk. I nodded, barely moving. My apartment felt colder, emptier than ever. I walked to the window and pulled the blinds. Light cut across the floor, bright and almost painful. I remembered when Ryan and I used to sneak out at night, climbing the fence behind his house. We'd lie in the grass and talk about the future like it was ours to take. I remembered Claire laughing for the first time, the way her eyes lit up, how I thought the world had finally made sense. And now, I couldn't stop seeing Ryan's smug grin, Claire's tears, the way they betrayed me. It haunted me like a shadow that wouldn't leave. Daniel sat in silence, letting me breathe. After a while, he spoke again. You're alive, Ethan. That means you can rebuild. You don't have to forgive them yet. You just have to survive. I feel like I lost more than her, I admitted. I lost myself. I don't even know who I am anymore. Good, he said, because who you were is gone. Time to be someone stronger. Someone who doesn't let a betrayal define him. I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. My chest ached, but slowly I felt something else, something like determination. Ryan didn't just take Claire. He stole my peace. But maybe, just maybe, I could take it back. Daniel nudged me. Coffee? Or are you going to keep staring at the walls like a ghost? I smiled faintly. Coffee, I guess. Maybe it's time to start. The first sip was bitter, but it felt like the smallest act of reclaiming something that had been lost. I didn't know what the next day would bring, but for the first time in 2 days I felt like I could breathe. Not fully, not yet, but enough to survive. I told myself I could handle it. A mutual friends event, just a few familiar faces, harmless conversation. I could do this. I walked in and immediately saw them. Ryan standing tall, arm around Claire. She smiled politely at people nearby, avoiding my gaze like I was a ghost. Ethan, someone called. I forced a smile and waved. Ryan's eyes met mine for a second, and I felt it, a silent message. He was proud. Too proud. I stepped closer to the crowd, trying to act normal. "Hey," I muttered to Claire as I passed. She nodded quickly, eyes down. Later, I found myself near the drinks table. Ryan joined me, smirking. "Didn't think you'd show," he said. "I said I could handle it," I replied evenly, pouring myself a drink. He leaned closer, voice low. "You look tired. Must be hard seeing me happy." I laughed, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Funny? I thought it would hurt seeing you with her. Turns out, it's just empty." "Empty?" He raised an eyebrow. "Come on, Ethan, you can't still blame me for her choice." "She was mine," I said quietly. "Not yours," he smirked, unfazed. "She chose. You think holding on changes anything?" I clenched my glass, trying not to shatter it. "Maybe not. But it changes how I see you," he shrugged. "Funny thing, sometimes people grow apart. You should know that. You and I used to be close." I felt the old bond unravel, the memories turning sharp. "Close. You were my brother." "Brotherhood doesn't mean forever, Ethan. Don't pretend it does." I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "I see now. The man I called brother is dead to me." He laughed lightly, cold and hollow. "You always did take things too seriously." I stepped away, needing air. I wandered through the crowd, overhearing snippets of conversations. Every laugh, every casual comment felt like a blade. "I can't believe they're together," someone whispered near me. I clenched my fists. Claire passed by again, pretending not to see me. Her eyes avoided mine completely. I wanted to call her out, to yell, to shake her, anything. But I didn't. I had nothing left to give them. Later, Ryan approached another friend, bragging quietly about a deal he'd closed. I watched, numb. Every word, every gesture screamed superiority. I realized he wasn't just happy with Claire, he was gloating. I sipped my drink, letting it burn down my throat. My chest felt hollow. I remembered the nights we'd stayed up planning, laughing about dreams, planning everything together. And now he was here, claiming everything I once believed in. Claire appeared beside him, smiling faintly at a joke he made. I didn't hear the joke. I only saw the laugh, the way she used to laugh with me, now reserved for him. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I blinked them away. I couldn't let them see me break. Ryan caught my eye briefly. I didn't flinch this time. I met his gaze evenly, silently acknowledging it. Our bond was over, finished. I stepped outside for a moment, inhaling the cool night air. My hands trembled slightly, but I held my composure. I whispered to myself, "The man I called brother is dead to me." And for the first time in weeks, I felt clarity. Not peace, not yet, but clarity. I turned back toward the party, forcing a smile at the few friends who waved at me. I would survive this. I would endure. I would reclaim my life. But inside I knew one thing. The bond that had defined me, that had shaped my youth, was gone. Shattered by betrayal, greed, and misplaced trust. The funeral of friendship wasn't just symbolic, it was real. And I was finally willing to admit it. I didn't notice it at first, the way my anger was slowly turning into something else. Something sharper, clearer. Work became my escape. Late nights at the office, crunching numbers, drafting proposals. Anything to keep my mind off them. "You're here late again," Mia said one evening, leaning against my cubicle. Her calm voice made me jump. I can't sleep," I muttered, avoiding her gaze. "Yeah?" she said softly. "Or you just can't face what's outside your door?" I frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" She smiled faintly, unbothered by my tone. "It means hiding doesn't fix anything." "You can't fight ghosts, Ethan." I rubbed my temples. "You don't understand. They took everything. Everything that mattered," Mia tilted her head. "And yet, you're still here, breathing, working, thinking. That's your power, you know?" I looked at her, skeptical. "Power? You call surviving this power?" "Yes," she said, calm as ever. "Power isn't always smashing things. Sometimes it's holding yourself together while the world tries to break you." I stared at her, the office lights casting soft shadows across her face. "I want to—" "I don't know. Make them feel what I feel." Mia shook her head. "That's revenge, Ethan, and it's messy, temporary. You want something better." "Something that lasts. What's that?" I asked, curious despite myself. Taking back control, she said, leaning closer. Owning your time, your mind, your choices. Letting them have nothing to touch. That's real power. I let her words sink in, letting the warmth of understanding replace some of my fury. So, I don't need to hurt them? No, she said simply. They hurt themselves by their own choices. You focus on yourself, and you'll take back what's yours without touching them. I nodded slowly, thinking about the nights I spent replaying Ryan's smug grin, Claire's tears. I didn't have to act out to win. I just had to rise. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into projects with a new intensity. Mia kept me grounded, showing up with coffee or just a quiet presence. You've changed, she said one night. More focused. You don't look like a man crushed by betrayal anymore. You look like someone who's preparing for something, I smirked. The first genuine one in weeks. Maybe I am. Maybe you should take it further, she teased. Not them, yourself. Push boundaries. Learn new things. Build yourself so high they can't reach you even if they tried. I laughed softly, feeling a spark I hadn't felt since before everything broke. Build myself. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Her eyes met mine, calm and steady. Just remember, Ethan, revenge isn't fire. It's light. You decide where it shines. That night I sat at my desk, the city lights glittering outside. I realized she was right. The fire I felt, the anger, the betrayal, it didn't have to consume me. I could redirect it, focus it on myself. I whispered to the empty office. They took her. They took my peace, but I'm taking back what's mine. A plan began to form, not of destruction, but of growth, of power, of rising above. For the first time in months, I slept with purpose, knowing that tomorrow I would be stronger than I was today, and that was enough, for now. Months passed. I buried myself in work, letting each task, each deadline, each meeting become my armor. You've been killing it lately, Ethan, my manager said one afternoon, sliding a report across the desk. The client is impressed. They mentioned your name specifically, I smiled faintly. Thanks, I've just been focused. Focused, huh? He asked, eyebrow raised. Well, keep it up. You're on track for a promotion. I nodded, letting a small satisfaction bloom inside me. Ryan would have laughed at this company, sneered at my humble job. Funny how things change. Later, Mia appeared in my office. You look different, she said, leaning casually against the doorframe. How's that? I asked, smiling despite myself. Stronger. Controlled. You don't look like the guy who nearly broke 2 months ago. I shrugged. I'm learning, she nodded, watching me carefully. Good, keep it up. You're taking back what's yours, bit by bit. And honestly, Ryan's bound to stumble soon, I chuckled quietly. Funny, isn't it? I didn't have to destroy him. He's doing that himself. Her eyes widened slightly. Exactly. Karma has a way of catching up. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about the last few months. Ryan had launched his own startup, full of swagger and ego. He mocked me for being stuck at my company, for wasting my potential. I'd stayed silent then, but now, I had proof that consistency beats arrogance. One morning, the news hit my inbox. Ryan Blake's company suffers massive losses due to failed investments. My fingers trembled slightly as I scrolled through the article. I muttered to myself, perfect. Not because I wanted it, but because he let it happen. Mia appeared again, carrying coffee. See, I told you. He can't help himself, I smiled, taking the cup. It's strange. I almost feel pity. Pity isn't weakness, she said. It's clarity. You're not consumed by him anymore. You're above it. I nodded, thinking about how far I'd come. Months ago, I felt hollow, broken. Every laugh, every look from Claire or Ryan had been a knife. Now, I was starting to feel something like peace. A spark of power I hadn't known before. That evening, I stayed late in the office, reviewing a new project. The lights were dim, the city alive outside my window. I imagined Ryan pacing in his office, scrambling to fix mistakes he should have prevented. The irony wasn't lost on me. A colleague popped in. Ethan, you're staying late again? Yeah, I said, keeping my tone light. Just finishing up. It feels good, to know I'm doing what I should have done months ago. He smiled. You've changed. It shows, I nodded, sipping my coffee. Yeah, I guess I have. Later, I called Daniel. He's falling apart, I said, barely containing a grin. I know. Daniel replied. But don't get distracted. This isn't your victory. It's just natural justice. Right, I said. Natural justice. I like that better than revenge. I thought about the nights I had spent seething, replaying betrayals, imagining confrontations. All that fire had shifted into focus, determination, and clarity. I didn't need to strike him down. The world, or maybe karma, was doing it for me. Mia's words echoed in my mind. You're taking back what's yours. I looked at the city skyline, lights blinking like stars caught in glass. Yes, I whispered, my voice firm. Everything they took from me. I'm reclaiming it. Piece by piece. Day by day. With every step I take forward, they fall further behind. A quiet satisfaction settled over me. It wasn't gloating. It wasn't triumph born from hate. It was control. Power. Life reclaimed. I turned back to my work, letting the hum of the office and the glow of the city remind me. The man I was, broken and betrayed, was gone. The man I was becoming, unstoppable. And for the first time in months, I felt the kind of hope that wasn't fleeting. The kind that fuels action. Ryan's downfall had begun. I didn't have to lift a finger. I just had to rise, and I was. The corporate gala was buzzing with people I barely knew. Glasses clinked, heels clicked, laughter echoed. I moved through it all like a ghost, focused on work, not drama, and then I saw her, Claire, across the room, framed by chandeliers and chatter. Her smile was there, but it didn't reach her eyes. Tired, worn, forced. I walked toward her, each step careful, deliberate. Ethan, she said softly, surprise flickering. Claire, I replied evenly. It's been a while. She nodded, and for a moment silence hung between us. I could feel the tension, thick, uncomfortable, familiar. You look, well? She said finally, voice hesitant. Better than well, I said, keeping it neutral. Focused. You? Her laugh was short, brittle. I'm surviving. That's all? I studied her face, noticing lines that weren't there before, the shadows under her eyes. Ryan? I asked quietly. Her gaze dropped. He's not the same. Angry, paranoid, the company. He's failing. I try to help, but he doesn't listen. I nodded slowly, a mix of pity and quiet satisfaction stirring in my chest. I see. She looked up, eyes meeting mine briefly. I never meant for any of this to happen, Ethan. I thought I could, manage it. But it's falling apart. I understand, I said softly, though my throat tightened. I had a flash of every betrayal, every sleepless night, every moment I felt broken because of them. But now I was calm, controlled, stronger. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know that doesn't matter now. It doesn't, I replied, shaking my head slightly. It never did. You made your choice. Her lips parted, maybe to argue, maybe to beg. She didn't. She only nodded. I took a slow breath. I made mine too. She looked at me, confusion and something like relief in her eyes. Yours? Yes, I said firmly. I chose myself. My peace, my life. What was taken from me, I'm reclaiming. Not by hurting anyone, not by plotting, but by living. By rising, she swallowed, quiet for a moment. I didn't realize how much I broke you. You did, I admitted softly, and it hurt. But I can't let that pain control me anymore. Her eyes glistened, and I realized she hadn't smiled like this in months, maybe years. Not genuine. Not freely, I see it now, she murmured. The strength, you're different. I had to be, I said quietly. Sometimes the fire we feel, it has to turn into something useful, something that helps us grow. She nodded slowly. I hope you're happy, Ethan. Truly. I will be, I replied, and I hope you find your way too. Even if it's not with him, the conversation ended there. No tears, no shouting, just understanding. The tension had eased slightly, replaced by acceptance. As I walked away, I realized something important. The closure I needed wasn't in revenge, confrontation, or even anger. It was here in moments like this. Quiet, honest, and measured, I whispered under my breath, not for her to hear, but for myself. You made your choice. I made mine, and with that, I stepped back into the crowd, lighter than I had been in months, finally free from the shadows of betrayal. I didn't see Avery coming, not until she tapped my shoulder outside the office building. Ethan, she said quietly, eyes flicking around. Can we talk? Sure, I muttered, my voice tight. Something about her tone set my nerves on edge. We walked to a quiet cafe nearby, the hum of conversation around us barely registering. She took a deep breath. I need to tell you the truth, she said. About Claire. About Ryan. I frowned, gripping my coffee cup so tightly it creaked. What truth? Avery hesitated, glancing at me. Ryan, he lied. About you, about us, about everything. I blinked, feeling my stomach drop. Lied? About what? Remember when Claire started acting distant? She began. Ryan told her things. He convinced her you were cheating, that you didn't care about her. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. What? He told her Yes, she interrupted softly. He spun stories. She believed him. That's why she left you. He manipulated her, Ethan, made her doubt you. I felt my hands shake, the cup slipping slightly before I caught it. My chest tightened. All those nights, the pain. It wasn't her choice? No, Avery said gently. It was his manipulation. She didn't know. She trusted him and he used that. I sank into my chair, words failing me. Memories flashed. Her tears, his smug grin, every sleepless night replaying in cruel detail. So all this time, I whispered, voice raw. He didn't just take her. He stole my life, my peace, everything I believed in. Avery reached across the table, but I pulled back slightly. I need to feel it, I said. I need to let it hit me fully. I understand, she said softly. I just wanted you to know the truth, so you could stop blaming her and start seeing what really happened. I ran a hand over my face. He was my brother, my friend. I trusted him completely, and he poisoned everything. Yes, Avery said quietly. He did, but now you know. You can move forward with clarity, not anger. I took a deep breath, letting the words sink in. The clarity felt heavy, but somehow freeing. He didn't just steal her, I whispered, almost to myself. He stole who I used to be. Avery nodded, giving me a small, understanding smile. Exactly. But that man, he's gone, and you're stronger for it. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of months lift slightly. The betrayal still burned, deep and jagged, but the clarity brought something else. Peace. Not forgiveness yet, not forgetting, but understanding. I should have known something was wrong, I murmured. All those little signs, the feeling that things didn't add up. And I trusted him anyway. Trust is never weakness, Avery said gently. You just learned the truth the hard way. Now you can rebuild. On your terms. I nodded slowly, the tremor in my hands easing. I will. I have to. For me. For who I am now. Not who I was. Avery reached out. This time I let her hand rest briefly on mine. You'll be okay, Ethan. You've already started. And he's crumbling on his own. Karma doesn't need help from you. I smiled faintly, a mixture of sorrow and relief. I don't need to touch him. I just need to live and rise. She squeezed my hand once, then let go. Exactly. Take back what's yours, not her. Your life, your peace, your future. I nodded again, feeling the clarity settle deep inside me. For the first time, the betrayal didn't feel like a knife in my chest. It was a lesson, hard and painful, but a lesson I could use. He didn't just steal her, I whispered once more, louder this time. He stole who I used to be. But that man, he's gone, and I'm not coming back. And with that, I felt the first genuine lift of weight from my shoulders. The fog of betrayal, confusion, and anger began to clear. The news hit first. Emails, messages, social media updates. Ryan's company had collapsed overnight. A major deal gone wrong. Careless mistakes, poor judgment. Everything he once prided himself on shattered. I didn't celebrate. Not out loud. But inside I felt something. Relief, maybe. Or just as finally catching up. Then came the call. Ethan! Ryan's voice cracked over the line. I need your help. I froze. My hands tightened around my coffee mug. You need my help? I repeated, my voice steady, unnervingly calm. Yes! He nearly shouted. I can't fix this alone. You know the contacts, the investors, I laughed softly, cold and controlled. You know me well, Ryan, but you also know I don't do favors for people who betrayed me. There was silence on the line, then a hiss of disbelief. Betrayed you? I didn't. You taught me betrayal, I interrupted, my voice quiet but firm. I learned silence. He let out a frustrated laugh, bitter and sharp. Silence? That's your answer? After everything? Yes, I said simply. Silence. Because words won't undo the past and neither will pity. You don't get to drag me into your failures after what you did. There was a pause. I could hear his breathing, ragged and angry, as if the calmness in my tone cut deeper than any insult. You think I don't know what you're feeling? He spat. You think I don't know the nights you cried, the pain you carried? You think I don't regret it? I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. I don't care about your regret, Ryan. It's too late for that. You lost your chance. You lost her and now you've lost everything else. Everything? He repeated, voice rising. You can't be satisfied with just... I never wanted satisfaction, I said calmly. I wanted clarity. I wanted peace. And I have it. You have nothing but chaos and mistakes. Your empire crumbles because of your arrogance, not mine. He slammed his fist onto a table nearby. I could almost hear it through the line. I'm done, I said softly. Done listening to excuses. Done entertaining your lies. Done pretending I ever needed you. His voice cracked. You can't just walk away. I can, I said. And I will. I hung up before he could respond, letting the click echo like a final punctuation. I leaned back in my chair, eyes closing for a moment. Months ago, I would have felt rage, a desperate urge to fight, to yell, to make him pay. But not now. Now I had peace. Now I had power. Later that day, I walked past his office building. Security cameras, broken windows, whispers in the hallways. It was all unraveling. And I walked through it, unbothered, unshaken. Mia called me that evening. I heard, she said softly. About Ryan. Yes, I replied. He came to me, begging, and I just walked away. You did the right thing, she said quietly. Not revenge, just letting him face the consequences of his own choices. I nodded, the tension in my shoulders finally easing. He taught me betrayal. I learned silence. That's more powerful than any fight I could have picked. A few hours later, I found myself staring out the window at the city lights. I could almost imagine Ryan pacing in his empty office, scrambling to fix mistakes he should have prevented, realizing too late that I wasn't the enemy. He was his own, and the thought didn't bring joy. It brought clarity. Satisfaction wasn't the goal. Justice wasn't mine to meet. But watching the consequences of his arrogance unfold silently removed the last shadow of my old pain. I whispered quietly, more to myself than anyone else. You wanted control. You wanted to hurt. You wanted everything. But you forgot. The man you broke isn't here anymore. He rose, he survived, and he's walking away. I turned away from the window, the city humming softly below, and for the first time in years I felt the world in balance, even if just a little. Ryan had lost. I had won, silently, peacefully, without lifting a finger, and that, I realized, was true power. It was unexpected. Claire appeared at my office one evening, looking hesitant, fragile. Her eyes searched mine as if she were looking for a place to land. Ethan, she said softly, voice trembling. Can we talk? I nodded slowly, motioning to the empty conference room. Go ahead, she swallowed, fingers fidgeting. I regret everything. How I left you. How I let him manipulate me. I can't take it back, but I'm so sorry. I studied her quietly, noting the sincerity in her eyes. No excuses, no defenses, just raw regret. I don't hate you anymore, I said finally, voice steady. Not for what happened. Her lips parted slightly, surprised. You forgive me? Yes, I replied, choosing my words carefully. Not for your sake, Claire. Not to make you feel better, for mine. For my peace, she blinked, emotion flickering. Peace. I thought I'd never see you. Like this. Calm. I let out a short breath, a small smile forming. It took time. It took clarity. But I've learned something important. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about freeing yourself. She nodded slowly, tears glistening. I don't know if I can ever explain how much I lost. How much I hurt you. You don't have to, I said gently. It's done. That chapter is closed. I've learned, I've grown. And you need to live with your choices. Just like I've lived with mine. Her voice softened. I miss what we had. I miss us. I shook my head but kindly. Some losses aren't meant to be recovered. They're meant to remind us who we are, who we need to be. She bit her lip, nodding slowly, understanding without argument. I wish I'd realized it sooner. Me too, I admitted quietly. But regrets don't change the past. They only weigh down the present. A long pause settled between us, filled with unspoken words and memories. I remembered laughter, late-night talks, promises, and I let it stay as memories. Nothing more. Ethan?
Will you ever?
Think of me differently? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. I already do, I said softly. But not with anger, not with hate. I think of you with clarity. That's all I need. Her shoulders relaxed, a small, tentative smile forming. Clarity.
I think I need that too, I nodded.
We both do. And that's enough. She hesitated, then turned to leave. I didn't stop her. I didn't call her back. I let her go, letting the silence between us carry the weight of everything left unsaid. As I watched her walk away, I realized how much power I'd reclaimed. I wasn't defined by betrayal, by loss, by her choices. I was defined by my strength, my ability to rise above it. Mia's words echoed in my mind. Take back what's yours. And I had. Peace. Control, clarity, I whispered to the empty office. Not for anyone to hear, but for myself. Some losses aren't meant to be recovered. They're meant to remind us who we are. I sat back in my chair, the city lights filtering through the window. Calm, steady, unbroken. The past had shaped me, but it no longer chained me, and in that silence I found my victory. Not loud, not dramatic, not fueled by revenge. Just quiet, unshakable, complete. I had survived. I had grown. I had reclaimed my life. And that was enough. I sat at the balcony, the city lights stretching endlessly below me. Quiet, calm, everything I had lost. Everything I had endured felt like a shadow behind me rather than a chain around my neck. Mia joined me, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed me one without a word. You've been quiet, she said softly. I'm thinking, I replied, staring at the horizon. About everything. How it all shaped me. The pain, the betrayal, the loss, she nodded, sitting beside me. And I took a slow sip, savoring the warmth. It didn't destroy me. Not really. It made me stronger. More careful, more aware. I learned patience, focus, control. Things I never had before. You're different, she said gently. I see it. You stand taller now. Not because you fought back, but because you rose above it. I smiled faintly, looking at her. It's strange, isn't it? I thought revenge would feel satisfying. Like some kind of closure. But the real victory, it's internal, silent, invisible to the world. She glanced at me. And yet, it's the only victory that lasts. Yes, I said softly. It lasts. Because it doesn't depend on them. Or their failures. Or their pain. It depends on me. On who I choose to be. Mia leaned back, eyes studying the skyline. And who's that now? I chuckled quietly. The man I've become. Not bitter, not broken, not desperate. Just alive, whole, stronger than before. And free, she smiled faintly. That's good to hear. More than good, I said, tone firm. I finally realized something important. He took her from me once. I paused, letting the words settle. But I took back something greater. Myself, she reached over, brushing my hand lightly. You deserved that. You always did. I looked at her, eyes reflecting gratitude and something deeper, calmer. Thank you for being here, quietly, watching me grow. Not pushing, not judging. Just constant. That helped more than you know. I know, she said simply. You earned it. All of it. I leaned back, closing my eyes for a moment. Memories rose. Ryan's betrayal, Claire's tears, nights of endless self-questioning. Pain, anger, despair, all of it. And yet it didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like a teacher I had finally listened to. I used to think pain was a prison, I said quietly, almost to myself. But it's not. It's a mirror. It shows you what you're made of. Who you really are when everything falls apart. Mia nodded. And what did it show you? I opened my eyes, looking at the lights below, at the endless possibilities. It showed me I'm stronger than I thought. That I don't need revenge to feel justice. That peace is earned, not demanded. That's silence. Sometimes silence is the loudest victory. She smiled, a small, knowing smile. Then you've truly won. I let a small laugh escape, the first unburdened laugh in months. I suppose I have. Not by tearing anyone down. Not by reclaiming what was stolen, but by building what's mine. My life, my mind, my future. She reached over again, this time letting our fingers intertwine. And that's unshakable. I leaned back, the city humming quietly below. My heart, once heavy with grief and anger, now felt steady, strong, free. He took her from me once, I whispered, louder this time, voice calm, full of certainty. But I took back something greater, myself. And for the first time in years, I felt complete. Not because of what I had gained, but because of who I had become, and that was enough. The cemetery was quiet, the sun dipping low over the gravestones, casting long shadows. I walked slowly, my steps measured, as if each one reminded me of where I had been and where I had come. I reached my father's grave, the marble smooth under my hand. A chill ran through me, not from the wind, but from the weight of everything I had carried. I almost lost myself, Dad, I whispered, voice low. To hate, to anger, to wanting revenge for everything that was stolen. I sank onto the stone edge, the world around me fading. I could hear the echoes of past nights, the betrayal, the sleepless hours, the rage that had once consumed me. But I didn't, I continued, soft, steady. I found a way to rise above it, to let go. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I needed peace. Because I needed to be whole again. I reached into my jacket pocket, pulling out a single flower, fragile but vibrant. I laid it gently atop the grave. You'd be proud, I said, a small smile forming despite the heaviness. I didn't let it destroy me. I didn't let it change who I am at the core. I fought for myself, Dad, not against them, but for me. I sighed, brushing my hand over the stone. I used to think vengeance would heal me, that if I made them feel pain, I'd feel better. But all it did was trap me in darkness. I didn't see that then, but I see it now, and I'm free of it. A gentle breeze stirred, rustling the leaves of the trees lining the path. I closed my eyes, letting the calm seep in. I miss you, I admitted quietly, my throat tight. I wish you were here to see how I've changed, to see that I survived everything, that I'm not broken, that I'm okay. I knelt for a moment, head bowed, letting the weight of my confession rest in the silence. It was different from anger or sorrow. It was clarity, acceptance. I'm okay now, I whispered again, louder this time, letting the words carry across the still air. I'm really okay. The silence around me felt alive, almost comforting. I could hear the distant hum of the city, the faint calls of birds settling for the night, and the world felt right, balanced. I stood slowly, brushing off my hands. For the first time in years, I felt lighter. Not because the past had changed, not because the betrayal was erased, but because I had finally released its hold. I walked through fire, Dad, I said softly, speaking more to myself than anyone else. I faced betrayal, loss, and hatred, but I walked out the other side, stronger, wiser, and free. I took one last look at the grave, the flower bright against the stone. A deep breath filled me with calm resolve. Thank you, I said quietly, meaning it in ways I couldn't fully express, for teaching me, even in your absence, that strength isn't about destroying others. It's about finding yourself when everything falls apart. I turned, walking slowly back toward the path, feeling the weight lift further with each step. The sunset painted the sky in soft shades of gold and crimson, and I felt a sense of completeness I hadn't known in years. No anger. No revenge. No regrets. Only quiet acceptance. And as I left, I whispered one last time to the wind, the grave, the memory of my father. I'm okay now. The world went on around me, but inside something had shifted permanently. I was a man reborn, strong, calm, and free.